Hi, and welcome to part 2 of this introduction into Excel. Now here I have a range of values here, and I want to play around with the formatting. Now we last left off here with alignment, and now we will look at this group of tools right here under number. Now here I have car manufacturer, I have country, sales, units sold, model, dates, and I have percentage of sales. And this is just a random concoction of values that I just created. Now if I go here to numbers, I have a dollar sign here, and if I hover the mouse over the dollar sign, it says accounting number format. And if I click here, I have all these different options here in terms of appending a monetary symbol. Now here I have, let me just click out of here. Here I have a percentage, and here I have a separator, and this is a comma style separator, and it separates values for every 1,000. Here I can increase or decrease the decimals. Now if you look here, and this is a very, very important aspect of Excel, and this has to do with how the numbers are formatted in a cell, and number formatting is very important. So here, for example, I have 7,991. Now let me just put the mouse right here and left click and drag and make it a little bigger. And I'm going to press Control and my scroll wheel to make this a little bigger. So I'm pressing Control, holding it, and I'm moving my scroll wheel and my mouse forward. So now I can also do that from here too. I can just go down here and zoom in and zoom out. And I can also go here to view, and I can increase or decrease the zoom from here as well. So let me just go back into home. And so now I have these numbers here, but they just look like numbers. They don't look like currencies. So I want to make this into a currency value. Now, first of all, if I click here and if I go here, I will get a format of what this particular cell is. If I click here, now keep your eye on this. If I click here in the date, as you can see, it says date format. So now if I go back and click here, I have number, but I want to convert this into something more descriptive. So I'm going to click here, and I have here general, and general means no specific format. Here number, and this just tells me if it's a number format. As you can see, it also will append decimal values. Here is a currency. Here's accounting. This is short date. So if you look here, it gives you an example of what it will output. So it'll output in this format right here. Here is the long date format. This is a time, percentage, fractions. This is scientific exponentials, and this is a text value. So now if let's say I click here currency, this is what I'm going to get. I'm going to move this over a bit. Now if I click here and I go here and I click currency again, I'm going to essentially get that format. If I click here and go to accounting, as you can see, this is what I get here. Now the main difference between a currency formatting and accounting is that, as you can see, the symbol, the monetary symbol, will be appended to the left alignment, and the values here will be appended to the right. Now if I click here, and the choice is yours really in terms of what you want to do. If I go here, I can just apply it as well. Now if I click here, and if I go here to the shortcut, I can click right here, and I'm going to get a accounting format. And so once again, I'm going to click here, and let's leave that as a currency. And you can see the difference. Okay, so let me just highlight, left click and drag, and I'm going to just keep it like that. You know what, just for the sake of order, let me just left click, highlight everything here, and I'll leave it at currency. Okay, now here, dates. Dates it can be a little tricky to understand. Now, Excel, first of all, when you look here, you see these numbers here. You see the month, the day, and the year. And once again, this is formatted into a Western format. I know in some places it's actually the reverse, and you have the day, month, and the year. So now, although you see it in this format, Excel in the background actually does not look at it from this perspective. Excel sees a numerical integer value counting from July the 1st, 1900. Okay, so if I go here, click this cell, and I go here, and I convert this into a, let's say, number, this is what I get. Now, what does this number mean? Well, Excel converted that date into this number, and this is a serialized number. And a serialized number is a number that's going to be counting integer values per day from 1900. So from January the 1st, 1900, these amount of days have elapsed 3,900, Click here and go into number. These are how many days have elapsed since January the 1st, 1900. If I just left click and drag, and I'm going to go here and go to number. So this is what Excel sees. And when you do calculations, Excel will be calculating at this level here in terms of integers. The numbers after the decimal represents the time portion. So the date and the time are both synthesized into a group of integers and a group of decimal values. So for example, if I were to say, type in, let's say 45675 decimal 34, and if I were to go here and convert that, let's say into short date. Okay, and now I will go here and convert that into a time, and just move that over here. So this is the time. So it's converted the decimal portion into the time. If I were to, let me just undo that, do that again. And if I were to just remove the decimal portion, and if I try to convert this value into time, if I select it, and if I go here, and if I click time, this is what I'm going to get here. And this doesn't really tell me anything. It's actually saying that there's no actual time that it can convert, so it's outputting this default value of 12 a.m. So let me just delete that. So I'm going to go here and click short date, and that's what I get. I'm going to click here, go back here, and I'm going to click this time long date, and that's what I get. And I'm going to, let's say, left click, highlight all that, go here, click the short date, and I'm going to left click, highlight all that, and click the long date. Now if I want today's date, here are some shortcut keys. I can type in equals and today, and that'll give me today's date. If I want today's time, I can use a shortcut key. I can type in Control Shift and the semicolon, and that'll give me the time. I can also press Control and the semicolon, and that'll give me the date, current date. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to just put some random numbers in here, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if I go here, I have percentage. Now, if I apply percentage to this, if I want to format this as a percentage, and if I do this, I'm going to get 200%. If I click here and let's say click here the percent button, I'm also going to get a percentage. As you can see, I don't have a decimal here. Now, why am I getting 200.00% and 300%? Well, whenever you put in a integer value, Excel is going to multiply that by 100. So just be careful. In order to avoid this problem, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go here. So now I'm going to go in here. I'm going to type in 0.04. I'm going to type in 0.05. I'm going to type in 0.0, let's say 563. I'll type in 0.034. Type in, let's say, 0.45. Now these numbers here I can convert as a percentage, and Excel will convert them as a percentage because Excel will just multiply these values by 100. So if I click here and I go here and click the percentage, that's what I'm going to get. If I click here and go here and click percentage, as you can see, it's going to tell me what the output is going to be. It's going to be 5.00, and that's what I get. Now if I don't want to see the decimals there, the 00, I can just go right here and I can decrease the decimals. Now if I go here and let me just click here, percentage, I get 6%. It's rounded up. If I go here and click percentage, that's what I'm going to get. Here I will get this value here. Now if I have this decimal here, 0. Let's say 0. Right, so now I'm going to just press enter. Now, if I want to convert this into a percentage, if I click here and if I go here, it's going to round it up to 6%. Now, let me just press Control Z to undo that. Now, I'm going to go right here and click this arrow here, and that's going to open up this dialog box here. Now, I have these tabs here: number, alignment, font, border, fill, protection. Now, if I look here under percentage, here I can output the correct decimal values for the percentage. So if I click here, it says it'll output 2 decimal places, and this is what the output will be. I can increase that even to 3 if I want. So I'll leave it at 2 and click OK. And so this is what I get here, 2 decimal places. Now just one thing here. You look here. If you look here, if I have this arrow pointed at an angle. If I click it, this dialog box appears. I have number, alignment, font, border, fill, protection. Now this dialog box appears under many groupings. So for example, if I click this grouping here, alignment, we'll have that same dialog box. And if I click here, it's going to open to that specific tab that has tools from here. And in fact, there are actually more tools here. So let me just click OK. Now if I go here under the font group, and if I click the menu here, it's going to open that same dialog box, but it's going to open it on the font tab. So this is just another way of accessing the tools in the ribbon. Okay, so if I go here and type in, let's say 5, and if I click it, and if I go into general, and I go into fraction and click that, as you can see, nothing's going to happen. It just shifts over. Let me undo that. Now if I type in 5.5 and click it and go into general and click fraction, this is what's going to happen. It's going to convert the decimal, the 0.5, into a fraction here. So let's say I have, I'm going to say 6 point, let's say, let it put a big number here. So now I'm going to click this, I'm going to go into general, and I'm going to go into fraction. And this is what I get, 6 1/4. So you can also adjust the fractional element too by going into number, click right here, and here is the fraction. If I click this, I can perform the fraction up to so many digits. So here it'll be up to 2 digits, 3 digits, a quarter, eighths. So I have all these options here in terms of how I want the formatting to appear for the decimal portion. So now the styles, now I'm going to leave this for the intermediate section, and I'm going to skip it, and we'll get back to it, like I said, when we get to the intermediate video. Now if you look here, cells. Now once again, your interface may be different depending on which version of Excel that you're using, and I'm using Excel 365 here. Now here I have insert, and when I click the insert, I have these options here. Here I have delete, and here I have format. Now if I look here under insert, I can insert cells, I can insert rows, insert columns, and I can insert a sheet. So if I, let's say, just go and click this cell right here and go to insert and click insert cell, and as you can see, there's a shortcut key. I can press Control Shift and the equal sign. If I click it, it's going to ask me insert where, shift cells to the right, shift cells down, the entire row or the entire column. I'm going to leave it at the default value of shift cells to the right. If I click OK, that's what it does. It's going to give me an empty space, and it's going to shift this cell over. Now let me just undo that. Now ideally what you should do is, if you want to use that, is what people usually do is they highlight the entire column. And if I go back into insert and insert shell and click OK, as you can see, it's going to insert an entire column here. Let me just press Control Z and undo that. Now if I go back into insert, I have insert row. So let's say let's say click this cell here and go into insert and insert row. As you can see, that's what's going to happen. It's going to insert a row right above the cell that I selected. And I just press Control Z to undo that. If I go here and go to insert rows, as you can see, it's going to insert a blank row right above this particular cell. Let me press Control and Z. Now there's some duplication that goes on here. For example, if I just click here, this number 4, if I click here, that'll click the entire row. I could just as easily go here and click Insert Row, and I get the same result. So just bear in mind that Excel gives you many ways to perform the same task. So I'm going to press Control Z again. Now I can also go here, click Insert, and I can insert a sheet. And once again, all I have to do is press Shift and F11 and I will get the same result. So if I click here, Insert Sheet, here I have a new sheet. Now I'm going to put my mouse over the Sheet tab, right click, and when I right click, it's going to bring up a context menu. And anytime you right click, you will always invoke a menu. And that's a general rule that applies to most software actually. So now I'm going to just go here and move up here, and I'm going to press delete. I'm going to delete that. Now if you look here, I have this tool right here, delete, and under delete I can delete cells, delete sheets, delete columns, and delete the sheet. If I wanted to delete, I can, let's say I want to delete this column right here. Well, I can just go right here and I can click the letter here and go into delete and delete column, and as you can see, everything is gone. If I want, I'm going to press Control Z to undo that. Now if I look here, I have delete rows. If I click here, this cell right here, and if I go here, delete, and I click delete rows, as you can see, that entire row is going to be impacted just by clicking this one cell and clicking the delete row. So let me press Control Z to undo that. Now here I have delete sheet. Now I can't delete this sheet because this is the only sheet in this particular workbook, and there has to be at least one sheet. But if I, let's say, click my plus sign right here, new sheet, and if I go here, delete and delete sheet, I'm going to lose that sheet that I just created. Now if I click here, format, I have all these tools here. I have cell size, visibility, organize sheets, and protection. Now if I look here at cell size, first of all I'm going to click this cell right here, and I'm going to go back into format and click on the cell size. I'm going to click row height, and when I click row height, I get this box that appears right here, and right now it's telling me it's telling me the height of this particular cell, 15.75. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to change this. I'm going to say 20, and when I do that, as you can see, it's going to increase in size. Now I can also do that from here. I'm going to put the mouse right over the 3, right click, and go to row height, and once again I have that same box that appears and it says 20, and let me put that to 30 and click OK. And let me just do that for this one here, 6, and I'm going to go format, row height, I'm going to put that to 35. I'm going to go to this cell right here, click number 8, go to format, row height, and I'm going to leave that at, let's say, 5. Now I have this unusual range of values and the row distances are not equidistant. So I want to make them all the same uniform height. So what I can do is this. I can just, first of all, I can click this cell right here, and I can go into format, and I can click here auto fit row height. And when I do that, it automatically adjusts the entire row. I'm going to go right here this time. I'm going to go into format, and once again I'm going to click auto. All right, now for this cell right here, I can also do this if I have many rows that are not even. Let me just go here and make this uneven, instead of going individually to each cell and then going here to format and adjusting it back to the default value. I can just click right here, and when I do that, I click the green right angle triangle here. I'm going to go into format and click here auto row height. As you can see, it automatically adjusts all of them. Now that also applies to the columns too. So if I put the mouse over, if I click here this column, and if I go to format, and here I have column width, and if I click that, this is the width, 12.57 integers, and I'm going to remove that. I'm going to say 25. and that's going to expand it out. I'm going to go here, and this time I'm going to right click and go column width down here, and I'm going to adjust that to, let's say, 10. And I'm going to go right here, click here, and I can also click right here as well. I don't have to click here the entire cell, and I don't have to click the entire range from here as well. I can just click, let's say, this one cell in this column, and I can go here to format, and I can go into column width, and let's say I'm going to make that bigger. I'm going to make that, let's say, 26. As you can see, the entire column is affected just by me clicking this one cell. Now, once again, if I want to get these back to their default values, the easiest way is simply click right here and go into format and go into default width right here. And you can also click here, auto column width. If I do that, this is what I'm going to get. Now here, if I go here to format again, oops, let me just undo that. If I go back to format, I have hide and unhide. Now here I have hide rows, hide columns, hide the sheet, unhide rows, and unhide columns. So if I can click this entire row right here, or I can just click one of the cells here and go into format and go into hide and unhide and hide rows, and that's going to hide the entire header. Right, so let me press Ctrl Z to undo that. If I can also click from here, click the entire row by clicking the number here, and then I can go into format and I can hide the row from there as well. I can also, let's say, click here, and if I want to hide this entire column here, I don't have to actually highlight everything. I can just click this one cell and go into format and go here, visibility hide, and I can hide the column, and this is what I get. All right, so now how do I unhide? Well, unhiding is pretty easy. So if you look here, I have 3 and then 5, and I can see right now that this is hidden. So I can left click and highlight 3 and 5, and I can right click and I can go down here to unhide, and that'll unhide it. Now here for the columns, I have A and C, so I'm missing B. So I can left click and drag A and C. I can right click now anywhere here in the selected region, and I can go into unhide, or I can do it from here as well. I can go into format down here and click unhide. Okay, what if I have a large table and I'm not sure if some columns are hidden and if some rows are hidden? So what I can do is this: I can click right here, I can go into format, and I can unhide the rows and the columns. So if I click on hide rows, and as you can see here, there's a shortcut key, Control Shift and the opening and close parentheses. So if I click unhide rows, that's what'll happen. And if I go back here and go hide and unhide, I can unhide the columns as well, or I can put the mouse right here, right click and unhide. Right, so that unhides the column. All right, so there are many ways of hiding columns and rows, and there are many ways of undoing it. All right, so let's stop right there and let's go on to the next lesson.